Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Food School Smarter, Stronger, Leaner podcast. Adventures of one obsessed nutrition coach on a mission to create a world where food makes you better. Um, Today, I'm back from my trip from Swiss Alps. I took this amazing trip. Like, if you're ever in Switzerland, you gotta take this Shurina Express, or this train that goes all the way to 2,000 meters above the sea levels, all the way into Alps, in the snowy Alps, and it goes through so many. I don't know. It's just hard to describe. Picturesque, just the views that take your breath away, and then also there are like so many bridges with this huge stone, like ancient supports. I don't know how to explain it, but it was out of this world journey, and you travel from the basically from Alps to all the way down to Italian part of Switzerland, and you in this panoramic, what they call it, express, and you see this nature. Sometimes you travel by the lake, sometimes by the glaciers, sometimes in the middle of nature's reserves. There are a couple of those trains in Switzerland, and it's really worth the journey. And while on this journey, my journey, you can customize it. Took me 4 hours there and 4 hours back. So on the way there, I was admiring the views. I was just staring at the window all the time, at the views behind that window, better say. And then on the way back, I was doing some reading, some nonetheless fascinating reading than the views outside. Although I don't know, maybe the views were much better. I definitely took a lot of pictures, guys, so check out my Instagram for these out of this world views of Switzerland and this majestic fairy tale train. It's one of those trains, if you are into cartoons, that sometimes they show that fairy tale train into magical lands that are high above there somewhere in the clouds. So that's how it felt. But anyhow, on the way back, I was reading this book, Mindless Eating. So the book, Mindless Eating, Why We Eat More Than We Think, by Brian Wonzink, PhD. I probably butchered his last name, but you can find the link to this book in the show notes. And so the book is all about all these studies about our food behavior, like why we eat more than we think. And I'm not sure whether he meant we eat more than we think in general or we eat more than we think we do. And the book is all about this eating behaviors that we all have that a lot of times in our modern society, because of the way our food system is built right now, these food behaviors, they work against us. So we eat more than we should be eating, probably for optimal health and longevity and performance, and very often we eat the stuff that doesn't really work for human physiology and work against us and takes away our energy, steals our energy and steals our health. But we swear we're not gonna eat those foods again, like those cookies or those chocolates or those ice creams, and yet we do. And you're not special or somehow weird if you can't be disciplined enough to stop eating foods that obviously don't work for you. It's just how our human brain, how our nervous system work, but we can manage it. And the book is all about managing ourselves to organize, to design, to promote those better for us eating practices and food choices. And I'm like such a huge fan of this theory. I read studies that that the author writes about in the book in different sources, and I am constantly applying it in my own life because I'm no special. I also see those highly caloric, unhealthy indulgent food choices. I'm also confronted with millions of choices every day, but I want to manage myself and my food environment that helps me to mindlessly eat less and eat better. And the book is all about that. How to actually organize and design your environment and your mental space also, to promote mindless but better for you eating and food choices. And over the next few days, I'm not sure how many days it takes, I want to go through very specific actions and actionable steps and concepts from the book that you can apply and design your food environment, design your mental space, mental food space, so you mindlessly eat better for you, for your health, for your energy levels. So let's dig in. The first concept from this book that I want to introduce to you is mindless margin. So basically, the whole purpose of this book is to help you to create this margin of 100 to 300 calories a day that you don't notice really, but over time that helps you to lose 20-30 pounds a year, done consistently but not perfectly. So mindless margin is organizing your food environment, maybe cutting your serving size in few calories, maybe substituting certain food, and we will talk about more details later on, but the basic idea is to eliminate from your diet 100, 200 calories a day, every day for the next year, and lose 20-30 pounds of weight without really noticing it. And that happens when you organize your food environment with that goal in mind. And that what mindless margin is all about, to create that margin that allows you to not notice that you are on a diet. And the author of the book says the best diet is the one that you don't know you are on. So basically the food behavior that allows you to move forward towards your weight goal, but at the same time not feeling like you are on a diet or depriving yourself. And one of the main concepts, or better say one of the main tools or strategies the author recommends, is choose three behaviors, the behaviors that we will talk through for the next few days. You can choose three of your favorites, three that works for your life. So you choose three behaviors that approximately will give you 100 calories deficit. And so you create a calendar for the next 30 days, let's say for the month of March. You write down those three behaviors that you're gonna change, that you're gonna use to optimize your food environment. So you write down those changes that ideally you wanna do every single day, something simple, something very something that you don't have to think about, and something that can become an automatic behavior that you don't have to think about at all. So three behaviors, 30 days, a month, and every day you have to print it out for accountability and to make it easier to track. That's very important, guys. So three behaviors, and each day you put some sort of mark when you do the behavior, each night after the day is over. And the idea is not to be perfect necessarily, but every day you gotta do something, right? And at the same time, you gotta do something and not feeling like because you did that you now have a permission to go on all out binge. No, just those seamless behavior changes over the next 30 days, and then you see the results. And the idea also, one of the ideas is not to be perfect, but just stay consistent and do something every single day. And I posted actually the example of the calendar from this book with those habits. It's in my Instagram stories, and you can go to my Instagram account and check them out. So let's begin talking about some of those seamless changes that you can start making. And some of the concepts of food behavior, food psychology that are outlined in the book, and there are many, and the book is fascinating, guys. If there is one food to improve your food behavior, like, this is the book. So first hack, or food hack, let's call them food hacks, right? Volume, packaging, containers, serving sizes. So although we think that if we buy a bag of nuts, let's say 200 grams or somewhere around 6-7 ounces of nuts, your favorite nuts, in one big container, and we decide to eat 1 ounce every day, we might think that it's the same as buying several small packages. And a lot of times, we want to save, so we buy a big bag. But yeah, we might save, a few cents, whatever currency you're using. We might save a few of those, but then we end up eating more. And it's proven by studies that we eat more from big containers, no matter what kind of intentions we have. So the trick here is to divide anything that is big, that is not according to your plan supposed to be eaten in one sitting, divide that into single servings that, for example, when it comes to nuts, you put it in Ziploc containers, 1 serving in each bag. And you'd think that it's not going to make a difference when you decide to eat all of those bags, but it actually does. It produces that small pause in your behavior when you have to switch the bag, that long enough for you to make a better decision. Studies show that's what we do when we have several containers compared to one big container. That produces that small mental pause that help us to stick to the decision that we made earlier that is better for us. And another kind of like thought about the same idea of volume and serving size. So we people assume that whatever is offered to us, whatever the size, that this is a serving size, that we should finish it. So for example, if you buy a big can of, diet soda, you're gonna think, your mind is going to think that this is the serving size. You're gonna drink the whole thing, or much more than if you simply bought a smaller container. So smaller serving size for yourself too, smaller packaging of everything that you'd like to manage. For example, for my personal life, I love dark chocolate, 100% no sugar. But still, if I eat 600 calories of that dark chocolate every day, trying to lose weight, that's gonna add up at the end of the day, and will probably stop my progress. So instead of buying one big chocolate, now I either buy small chocolates, or I break that big chocolate bar down into 3 pieces, that is about 1 ounce each, and I put them in separate containers. And it's much easier for me to stick with just one single serving. Whereas when I have the whole chocolate, even though consciously I decide to eat just 1 ounce, there were many cases where I would eat the whole bar, and you're probably familiar with the same problem. So even though, again, it might be a little bit more expensive, but believe me, guys, if you have a weight loss in mind, that is worth it. So from now on, the advice that can become one of your habits is to buy single servings of everything, the servings that actually make sense for your weight loss plan. And so instead maybe of eating a whole bag of cashews, you buy now, or you put them in single serving containers of 1 ounce, and that's your new habit. So your new habit might sound like, from now on, when I eat nuts, I only eat 1 ounce per day, right? And you write it down if that was your problem. And for the next 30 days, you track it. And if you're someone who were just measuring it with hands from a bigger container, the chances are that's going to be one of those 100 calories or more margins, mindless margins, that will make a couple of pounds difference at the end of the month. See the idea? So you start eating exactly the amount. It will give you 100 calories or more less per day, and at the end of the month, without really limiting much of the stuff, because you're still eating nuts, you just now measuring it better, it's going to produce the difference you need to lose a couple of pounds per month. Then the next one, food in plain sight versus food that is away from your sight. So if there is a place in your house, in your apartment, or wherever you live, where you keep some snacks or some food that is hard for you to manage, just by putting it in the cupboard somewhere hidden from your sight, even better, put it somewhere where you have to walk more, not like in your desk where you sit and you work and you can easily eat it, but put it away, let's say in the other room, in the kitchen, or leave it at the store, even better. And so the next time you think about that snack, that food that it's hard for you to manage, you're going to be less likely to go and get it from the other place, especially, if it's place shared with other people, you have to meet other people, or especially if it's at some store, you have to get dressed probably, you have to go to a store, and for your brain, it's just too much stuff to do. So a lot of times, again, studies show, you can read the book for those studies, a lot of times people just don't do that because it seems like a lot of work. Another very interesting thing is that food trade-offs. It goes to the same idea of having to do more work in order to get that food that is hard for you to manage. So for example, you decide that every day you allow yourself to eat nuts and seeds. But for example, because you want to manage weight and you want to eat less of them, in your mind, you create this trade-off. So every time you want to eat nuts, you get your Ziploc container, and for every nut you eat, you have to seal the container and open it again. So imagine you are eating cashew nuts, and you take one nut out, you chew it, you eat it. You take one nut out, you seal the container, you eat it, and then you have to open it, eat another nut, again, seal it, open it, you get the idea. So you open it, you seal it, you eat the nut, you open it, you seal it again. So every time, for every nut. So you can eat as many nuts as you'd like, but you have to do this work. And that works, guys. It's seemingly such a, tiny change, but for your brain, at some point, it's just going to be too much work, like opening and closing, opening and closing. So, plus, you're going to be eating much, much slower. And that, by the way, we will also talk about this in a minute. That also helps your brain to get the signal from your gut that you are getting enough calories and enough nutrition, and maybe it's time to stop. So try it, maybe that's going to be another habit. So every time you eat nuts and seeds, I'm talking about nuts and seeds because a lot of people tend to overeat, especially, us healthy eaters. We are seemingly having a healthy snack, but then we tend to overeat it by like 300, 400 calories, right? And that doesn't help with weight loss, no matter how healthy the nut is. So anyhow, and because that was a problem for me for a while, so your second habit might be every time you eat nuts, you have to do this work. Open the bag, reseal the bag, eat one nut, open it, reseal it, eat one nut. That works, guys. So you can also put it on your calendar and do that habit every time you eat nuts. And then speaking about eating slowly, studies show that when we eat slower, when we slow down, and specifically when we pay much more attention to our food, without TV, without reading, without talking to other people, without doing work, without any of that, the more attention you pay to your food, no matter what that food is, the slower you chew, the less you're gonna eat. It has to do with sensory not deprivation, but satiation. We eat with all of our senses, our sight, our nose, our taste. But it also has to do that there is a lag, somewhere around 20 minutes, studies show, between the time that you start eating and your body starts digesting and assimilating nutrients, and the time that your brain gets the idea, the message that you are getting enough nutrition. So there is like 20-minute lag. And so if you are eating food by inhaling them in less than 10-15 minutes, then you are much more likely to overeat, and you're much more likely to overeat on the stuff that probably not the best option, because it's hard to inhale carrots, or it's hard to inhale steak, like really hard. You actually have to chew it. It will slow down your eating automatically. That's why I'm also such a huge fan of whole foods, not some extracts of meal replacement stuff, etc. So just by eating slowly and paying more attention to your food, you're gonna eat less. And that can be another habit on your calendar this month. So maybe set a rule for you. Each time you sit down, you have to chew your food maybe, I don't know, 20 times. And you have to be free from TV, free from reading, free from internet, just be distractions free. Maybe, with one person, talking to one person, it's okay. Usually the studies show that the more people we eat with, the more we tend to eat. So if just one person and you're kind of both busy eating, that can be fine. You don't have to isolate completely yourself. But back to eating slowly. So maybe each time you eat, you set a timer and you tell yourself to eat for 30 minutes. And chew your food well. Maybe chew each piece, I don't know, 15-20 times. Usually for whole foods like steak, carrots, or any whole foods really, chewing 20 times, it's natural. It's not natural when the food is highly processed, or things like yogurt, those things, chewing for 20 times probably gonna be really unnatural, gonna feel really unnatural. But yeah, that might be your third habit, creating that mindless margin that allow you to eat 100 to 300 calories less each day without really noticing much. But then at the end of the month, you lost 2 pounds. And at the end of the year, you lost like 20-30 pounds. That can be a big thing without you having to change a lot of other things, or focusing on being on some sort of diet or counting calories. You don't have to do that. And that's what I loved about this book. This is like real life examples book. So today we talked about just 3 of those new habits, new food hacks that you can start using to improve your eating habits, to start losing weight seamlessly, without noticing it, without having to count anything or be on any diet. So for example, we talked about volumes and serving sizes. So when it comes to even your food that you cook in bulk, put it in several containers, just for the hack of putting it in several containers and helping your mind realize that this is the serving size, not the whole bowl, not the whole pan of whatever you cooked in bulk, but just one single serving. The same goes for nuts, for maybe chocolates that you like. Put them all in single serving containers. And maybe your new behavior for the months will be eat everything in separate containers according to serving sizes that you predefined for yourself, right? The second one might be making things a little bit harder for yourself. And again, in each individual situation, it's going to be a little bit different. So for example, in my case, it might have been breaking my chocolate into big chocolate into 1 ounce servings, and putting them in several containers, and maybe putting them out of sight in the kitchen or in some other room where it's harder for me to get it there. Or maybe even saying, every time I need to eat a piece of chocolate, I want to eat a piece of chocolate, I gotta eat 2 big chunk carrots and I gotta chew them. So that's also more work. So every time you think about eating chocolate, you have this rule. Okay, I gotta eat 2 big carrots and I gotta chew them. Carrots are hard to chew. It's a lot of work, and so it might stop me from eating chocolate or you from eating chocolate. Or if you're eating nuts, for example, every time you eat a nut, you take it out of the container, seal the container, eat 1 nut. You open again the container, take 1 nut, seal the container, eat it. So make it hard, leave the stuff that makes it harder for you to resist at the store. Buy everything in single serving. So make yourself work harder for the things that you shouldn't be eating in big amounts. And shouldn't mean you define it for yourself. I'm not here to say what you should or shouldn't do, but I'm here to help you to do what you already want to do. So make it harder for yourself to work for the food. And then the third one is eating slowly. So that might be taking the time, uninterrupted, undistracted time, 30 minutes maybe for each of your meals, and just sitting and chewing each piece maybe for 15-20 times. That's your new rule. And so you chew and eat. So that will also be your new mindless margin habit that will allow you to not eat without thinking about it, 100 to 300 calories less a day, and at the end of the month it's 2 additional pounds of fat lost, and at the end of the year it's 20-30 pounds of fat. So those 3 small strategies from the book that we talked about today. So think about how you can apply them in your life. If you have difficulties, if you'd like to brainstorm ideas about a specific problem that you don't seem to be managing yourself, reach out and we'll talk it through. I'll help you to do that. So reach out, don't hesitate. We can manage ourselves to reach our goals. Like no matter where you are, you can manage yourself. And when you learn how to manage yourself, you can achieve anything, guys. That's very, very powerful. You can adjust your body weight, your body composition as much as you want, as long as you learn how to manage yourself. So for the next few days, probably the rest of the week, we will be talking about many more strategies in the book. Like some of them just blew my mind away. Just one example, how we think we're smart, but we actually are not that smart. Like in US Army, there was that example that one of the chefs in US Army, he ordered food for the next, I think it was 3 months. And so as a dessert, he ordered Jello. He was supposed to order a lemon Jello and cherry Jello, but he forgot to order cherry Jello, and he instead ordered a bunch of lemon Jello, all the same, for 3 months for the whole US, Army division that he was cooking for. And there is a lot of stress in the Army, and on top of that, you gotta eat lemon Jello for the next 3 months. So soldiers were not happy with him. And so what he did, he actually just used some food coloring, and he made lemon Jello red using that food coloring. And what do you think happened? You'd think people would notice that lemon Jello just got red. No, instead, soldiers thanked him and were finally relieved that they finally got their cherry Jello. It just shows us how easy it is to fool ourselves and our brain. And the thing is, our food system, guys, it fools us not in our best interest, but we can fool ourselves into better eating behaviors, eating practices that actually work for us, not against us. And on this note, I'm gonna finish this episode. It's been a long episode, a lot of fascinating stuff, so stay tuned for the rest of the episodes till the end of the week. Check out the link for the book. I'm sure it's gonna be a fascinating read if you decide to read it. Also, don't forget to share it with people who find that one person maybe you know who find it's very problematic to change their food behavior, eating behavior, and manage their weight. So share this episode, please, guys. Let's help each other. Let's help each other to make each other's lives better. So share this episode, this podcast with that person. And as usual, till next time, eat better daily.